Okay, picture this. Almost every single modern type of cannabis you could think of, this huge global industry now, right? Tracing it all back to just one city. And like a handful of people. Sounds kind of wild, but that's exactly what we're digging into today. Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the sources, pull out the key stuff, and get you up to speed fast. Our mission today, to figure out how Amsterdam, of all places, became this undisputed global hub for cannabis genetics, how it turned this niche plant into a worldwide thing. We're going to look at the policies, specific people, the innovations that made it happen, show you how this legal gray zone basically sparked a green revolution. And yeah, a lot of our info today comes from some really fascinating details and nuggnotes about the journey of Haze and Sinsemilla. So let's start at the beginning. How did Amsterdam even get started down this path? It kicks off with a surprising policy change.
Right, that's the foundation. You have to go back to 1976. The Dutch government did something pretty radical for the time. They reformed their drug laws.
And that was the split between soft and hard drugs.
Exactly. They formally separated cannabis, hashish, the soft stuff, from heroin, cocaine, the hard drugs. Now, they didn't legalize cannabis. That's key.
Oh, okay.
But they created this policy of tolerance. Gedoogbeleid, they call it, which meant essentially that coffee shops selling small amounts weren't prioritized for prosecution.
So not legal, but tolerated, a gray zone.
Precisely. And that tolerance, that ambiguity, that was the crucial green light. It gave, let's say, outlaws, enthusiasts, entrepreneurs the space they needed. They could start building, experimenting without the immediate hammer of the law coming down, which was happening everywhere else.
It really makes you wonder how often those small legal distinctions end up having these huge, unforeseen ripple effects.
Absolutely. It created a unique vacuum.
Okay, so the policy is there, kind of simmering, but before the seeds, you need the actual product people want, right?
Right.
The buds. And this connects to the coffee shops directly.
Oh, completely. You can't talk about this era without mentioning Bernard Brooding. In 1973, even before that 76 law, he opened Mellow Yellow.
The world's first cannabis coffee shop.
The very first. It started normalizing things, creating a public space for cannabis commerce.
But then there's this other piece, Sinsemilla. This American guy, Old Ed.
Yes, Old Ed. Active, roughly 73 to 80. He was crucial. He introduced Sinsemilla, which just means without seeds in Spanish, to the Dutch scene.
And why was that such a big deal? Seedless buds sound nice, but revolutionary.
It was revolutionary for growing in Holland. People thought the climate was terrible, too rainy, not enough sun. Old Ed showed them that you could grow these potent, high-quality seedless buds indoors using lights.
Ah, indoors, so it bypassed the climate issue.
Exactly. It was a massive technical leap. Suddenly, high-quality domestic production was viable, even in rainy Holland.
Okay, so now you've got places to sell it, thanks to the coffee shops, and a way to grow top-shelf stuff indoors, thanks to Sinsemilla.
You got it. The normalization from the coffee shops, plus the technical know-how for indoor Sinsemilla, it just created the perfect conditions, the perfect environment for the next step.
Which was?
Professionalizing the genetics. Breeding. And selling those seeds.
Right, taking it from local cultivation to global commerce.
Yeah.
How did the seeds start traveling?
This is where Nevil Schoenmakers comes in, an Australian guy, an expat in Amsterdam.
Okay.
In 1984, he starts something called the Seed Bank of Holland.
The seed bank. Sounds pretty official.
Well, it became the benchmark. And Nevil, he wasn't just breeding, he was collecting elite genetics from all over. And then he started mailing these seeds, hybrids, like Northern Lights, Haze, legendary stuff, mailing them worldwide.
Mailing them, just like that.
Yep, famously advertised in High Times magazine. You could order directly.
Wow. But how was that legal?
Yeah.
Or was it just ignored?
This is the fascinating part you mentioned from nuggnotes. The Dutch government taxed these seed sales openly.
They taxed them, so they knew, and they were okay with it.
It seems so. It wasn't full legalization, remember, still that gray zone. But taxing it, that signals a kind of pragmatic acknowledgement. It gave the whole operation a layer of legitimacy, at least within the Netherlands.
Which must have been crucial for building trust, for actually getting that mail-order business off the ground globally.
Absolutely key. It let Amsterdam become this stable hub when everywhere else was cracking down hard.
Okay, this story keeps getting more interesting. Now there's drama, a raid, an escape.
Yeah, this is a pivotal moment. 1985, over in California, there's a big crackdown, Operation Green Merchant, I think. And a really well-known grower, David Watson, better known as Sam the Skunkman.
Sam the Skunkman, okay.
He basically has to flee. The authorities raid his operation. But he doesn't come empty-handed. He escapes to Amsterdam, bringing his treasure trove.
Which was?
Seeds. Absolutely vital genetics, especially skunk #1 and some key Haze lines, foundational stuff.
And he lands in Amsterdam.
And he connects with Nevil Schoenmakers at the seed bank.
Ah, the alliance.
Exactly. This partnership, Sam's genetics and Nevil's setup, is often called the backbone of modern cannabis breeding.
Wow. So a raid in California directly fuels the genetic powerhouse in Amsterdam.
Pretty much. It shows how interconnected things were, even then. Pressure in one place created opportunity in another. They combined genetics, expertise, vision. It really kicked things into high gear.
So the mid-'80s,
Yeah.
genetics are consolidated, distribution is working. Sounds like the stage is set.
Totally. This period, roughly 85 to 88, is known as the mail order boom.
The boom time.
Yeah. You had Nevil's seed bank going strong, then others jumped in like the Super Sativa Seed Club.
Super Sativa Seed Club.
Yep, they focused on sativa hybrids, put out these detailed catalogs, very popular, and those High Times ads. They gave growers, especially in America, access like they'd never had before. Direct line to Dutch genetics.
And then came the Cannabis Cup, 1988.
Right, the first High Times Cannabis Cup, held in Amsterdam, naturally.
What did that do? Just make it more public?
It did more than that. It propelled strains like Skunk, like Haze, into the international spotlight, gave them legendary status almost overnight. It wasn't just about selling seeds anymore.
Right.
It was building a culture, a global community. People knew the names, they knew the breeders. The cup helped cement that. It gave it recognition, status.
Okay, so the industry is booming. It's getting famous. What happens next? Usually consolidation, right?
Exactly. Like any growing industry, 1991 is a key year. There's a big merger. Ben Drunkers, who had his own seed company, Sensi Seeds.
Sensi Seeds, yeah, I heard of them.
He acquires Nevil's seed bank, merges them, and this creates arguably the largest cannabis gene library in the world at that time. Massive consolidation.
And did new strains come out of that?
Oh, yeah. Iconic ones. This is when you start seeing names like White Widow, Jack Hure, Super Skunk emerge. Strains that are still famous today.
Wow. Okay, so bigger companies, famous strains, any more big innovations?
One huge one, especially for growers. 1998. Hank Van Dalen, founder of Dutch Passion, another seed company.
Dutch Passion, right.
He and his team cracked the code on feminized seeds.
Feminized, meaning?
Meaning the seeds would overwhelmingly produce female plants, the ones that actually produce the buds growers want. Before this, you'd plant seeds, and roughly half would turn out male. Useless for buds, mostly just for pollination. Growers had to identify and pull them out.
Ah, so feminized seeds took out a whole step, a whole risk.
Exactly. It was a game changer, especially for hobbyists. Made growing much easier, more predictable. Pure genius, really.
So Amsterdam isn't just sitting on its laurels. They're still innovating, pushing things forward.
Constantly. That's why they stayed dominant for so long. It wasn't just the head start. It was continuous breeding, new techniques like feminization. They kept adapting, kept giving growers what they wanted.
And this leads to even wider reach. You mentioned strain hunters.
Yeah. In the 90s, you get figures like Arjan Roscom from Greenhouse Seed Co. He became famous, almost like a celebrity breeder, going around the world, documenting searches for landrace strains, but also heavily promoting the Dutch hybrid.
Hyping strains like White Widow.
White Widow, Super Lemon Haze. He was brilliant at marketing. And you had spin-offs like the Strain Hunters Foundation, the clubs, all spreading these Dutch-bred genetics even further across the globe.
It's incredible. A whole global industry, really, built out of this one city. But underpinning all of it, all this time, was that initial legal quirk, right? The loophole.
Absolutely. That souvenir loophole was the bedrock.
Explain that again. How did selling them as souvenirs work?
It was simple, almost elegant in its way. They sold the ungerminated seeds. The argument was, hey, these are just collector's items, souvenirs, fish bait, bird seed, whatever. As long as the seed itself wasn't germinated, selling the seed wasn't technically illegal cultivation.
Even though everyone knew what they were really for.
Pretty much. It exploited the gap between possessing a seed and actually growing a plant. It kept the trade legal, or at least tolerated, even while growing could still land you in serious trouble depending on where you were.
Just amazing entrepreneurial thinking, finding that path through the ambiguity.
It really is a classic case of navigating a complex legal landscape to build something huge.
So when we look back at this whole story, this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway for us, for you listening?
I mean, the core message is pretty clear. The Dutch basically wrote the playbook for modern cannabis. The coffee shops made it visible, normalized it to a degree. The breeders, the innovators like Nevil, Sam, Ben, Hank, they refined the genetics, scaled it up, and those mail order catalogs and High Times ads, they took it global.
So without that specific 70s gray zone in Holland.
Right. Without that initial space to operate, it's very likely that most of the famous cannabis strains we know today, they just wouldn't exist, or they'd be completely different.
It really drives home that this isn't just about cannabis, is it? It's a pretty powerful illustration of how policy, even sort of ambivalent policy, combined with that entrepreneurial drive, and yeah, finding those clever loopholes can literally create entirely new industries, global movements from really unexpected places.
Couldn't have said it better.
So maybe something to think about as you go about your day. Consider other gray zones that exist right now. Areas where the rules are fuzzy, maybe technology is moving faster than the law. What kind of unexpected things might be quietly taking root there? What future global industry, or maybe even cultural shift, is just waiting for its own version of that Dutch green light moment?